Okay, everyone, here we are for this video lesson. Make sure that you have paper and pencil out ready to copy everything down in order for you to understand this lesson fully, right? So here we go. As we always do, we start with the name of this lesson, which is called Quadratic Functions, with a focus on solving by factoring, okay? So we have 4 sets of notes here. The first says we're going to factor and we're going to get binomials. We know how to do that already. All right. Second, each binomial will equal to 0. Okay, that makes sense. Third, solve each binomial for the variable. Okay, we're going to get the variable by itself. And finally, we're going to get 2 solutions, right? So we're going to follow all those steps and let's see what we can do. So we're going to factor, that's it, the instructions, right? The instructions say solve each equation by factoring, okay? So we have an equation here, okay? Now if you notice, we have a trinomial here. And the way we factor a trinomial is the x method. So we have negative 136 on top and negative 9 on the bottom. So the idea is to find 2 numbers that multiply to 136 and subtract to give you 9, right? So let's look for 136 here. And 136, where are you? Where are you? Cannot find 136. 17 and 8. Okay. 17 and 8. 17 minus 8 is 9. Perfect. So 17 and 8. But because we have a negative here, that means that one of these has to be negative. So since 9 on the bottom is negative, that means a bigger number is going to be negative. So that 17 is negative, the 8 is positive, right? So we set up our parentheses as we usually do, right? X squared means each parentheses gets an x, minus 17 plus 8. But kiddos, we cannot forget this equals 0 here. So let's bring this down. So now what's going to happen is each of these parentheses is going to get their own equal 0. So it's going to be x minus 17 equals 0 and x plus 8 equals 0. So we're going to do x minus 17 equals 0 and x plus 8 equals 0. Then we're going to move 17 over, plus 17, and we're going to get x is equal to 17. And we're going to move 8 over as minus 8, and we're going to get x is equal to negative 8. And there we go. Look at that. Those are our 2 solutions. X is equal to 17, and x is equal to negative 8. So when we graph and we come up with the u, right, with the u, that's a quadratic. This is going to be negative 8, and this is going to be positive 17. And that's what we got here. Okay, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, let's go on to the second example. Well, this is also a quadratic, right? Because it has the power of 2, and it's a trinomial. And this, remember that we're going to multiply the first term, first term times the last term to get the top of our x method. So 5 times 6 is 30, positive 30, right? And then the bottom is still the center, negative 11, so minus 11, just like that. So 2 numbers that multiply to give us 30 and add, because this is a positive 30, to give us 11. Well, that one is, I know off the top of my head, 5 and 6. 5 plus 6 is 11. But kiddos, I need it to be negative 11 when I add. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make them both negative. Because negative times negative is still a positive, so that works out. And when I add them, it gives me negative 11, right? So, as we do, set up 2 parentheses, right? And we're dealing with n squared here, right? So we're going to say n and n. And then I'm going to bring down minus 5, and I'm going to bring down minus 6. And again, let us not forget our equals 0 part. equals 0. So, and remember, one extra step on these the trinomials, right, quadratics. You see this 5 here? We're going to divide both of these by 5. So let's divide them by 5. Divided by 5, divided by 5. Thankfully, 5 divided by 5 is 1, so I get n minus 1. I cannot divide 6 by 5, right? So I'm just going to leave it as n minus 6 over 5, and equals 0. Well, just like the first example, everybody, we're going to set each one of these parentheses equals 0. Equals 0, right? So we're going to say n minus 1 equals 0, right? And n minus 6 over 5 equals 0. Well, I'm going to bring 1 over as plus 1, so I get n is equal to 1. And then I'm going to bring minus 6 over 5 over as plus 6 over 5. And that's going to give me n is equal to 0 plus 6 over 5 is 6 over 5. And that right there, kiddos, are our solutions. N is equal to 1. N is equal to 6 over 5. So again, when we graph, I'm going to show you, right, when we practice these, when we graph just like that, excuse me, just like that, and this is our x-axis. This is going to be 1, and this is going to be 6 over 5, right? Those are our two solutions. Okay, perfectly done. One more example, kiddos. One more example. Now, this one is a little different because if you notice, this one does not equal 0. The second problem equals 0, so we went straight to x method. The first example equals 0, so we went straight to x method. So we need number 3 to equal 0 as well, right? We need the third example to equal 0 as well. Well, how do we do that? Simple. We're going to move it over here and make it a plus 5. Now, there is nothing left here, or there is 0 left here, right? So what we're left with is x squared minus 11x. 25 plus 5 is 30. Equals 0. So now we can do our x method. Positive 30 on top, negative 11 on the bottom. Wait a minute, this looks familiar. Negative 11x and plus 30. Where did I see that? I thought I saw that somewhere. Oh, look at this. Negative 11 and positive 30. Negative 11 and positive 30. So I know my numbers are going to be negative 5 and negative 6. Perfect. Minus 5, minus 6. Right? So I set up my two parentheses, right? Double parentheses, just like this. I got my x, I got my x. I drop my minus 5 in there. I drop my minus 6 in there. And I can't forget equals 0. There's no number here to divide my 5 and 6 by. Technically, there's a 1, right? But no need to divide by 1. So now I'm going to set up each parentheses to equal 0. X minus 5. No need for the parentheses. X minus 5 is equal to 0. And x minus 6 is equal to 0. So I'm going to move my minus 5 over as plus 5. So I get x is equal to 0 plus 5 is 5. I'm going to move my minus 6 over as plus 6. So I'm going to get x is equal to 6. And look at that, kiddos. Those are our two solutions. And there you go. Right? And that right there are the three examples you're going to see in the worksheet. Make sure that you copied everything down, right? In order for you to have gotten this, understood this lesson. All right. Thank you guys for being here.